Right, hello. And with me today, we have top bitch, Michelle Minnikin. So Michelle is an occupational psychologist and also a coach. And Michelle was also with me at the start. She was with me at the conception of the Bitch Network. We were away on a psychologist retreat together in France. And I remember, Michelle, you were getting quite anxious that I wasn't registering the names quick enough.
Yes, it's like, oh, I've come up with this really brilliant idea. And yeah, it was like, well, register it then, because somebody else will have the same idea, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it was a good sort of 24 hours of me feeling fairly anxious, to the point where I was like, should I just do it? Then I'll just get it and then I can give it because it was such an awesome concept, I think. So like, Paula, seriously, give me a bank card, just do it now.
Yeah.
I think I probably said that to you as well.
Yeah. I suppose there's a thing about people making decisions in different time scales. Yeah. Like, yeah, you must be a D, straightforward, straight to it. I'm more of a, how do I feel about this?
Yeah, my general's like, yeah, brilliant. Let's stop talking about it. Let's do something.
Yeah. So, obviously, we're going to have a chat about your inner bitch today, and you might have more than one of them. So, I mean, as you know, as you were there, the Bitch Network is the idea behind it is that we all have this inner bitch inside. For some of us, it's sort of a fiery persona. For others, it's more of a steely core that keeps us on the road to where we want to be. And times when we see her most are when we're backed into a corner, or we're protecting people, or when there's a goal and we particularly want to reach it and we have to draw upon her. And the idea behind the Bitch Network is that, wouldn't it be great if we can just draw on her when we want, when we can access that part of ourselves. So, tell us about a time where you've had to draw on your inner bitch and how that went for you.
So it's interesting how you described the inner bitches or bitch. And so I think it was the same retreat, wasn't it? Or it might have been the one after.
I think it was the one after where we came across what I think you're going to talk about.
Yeah. So we have got an awesome coach called Wendy Kendall, who is learning a lot about a paradigm called internal family systems, and we were going through what that looked like. And I've got a very vivid imagination, so I went from very sort of, what is this nonsense, to, oh my goodness, this is awesome, and here is my entire internal family system. So to explain this really better, great English, Michelle. Effectively, we don't just have one personality, we have lots of little voices in our heads, lots of little personalities that were developed, through lots of different ways. And so kind of listening to all the different voices in my head. So example of this is, one voice is saying, oh yes, Michelle, you need to lose weight, and the other one's going, oh Michelle, go and have some cake, it's good fun. It's that kind of dichotomy. And
I can relate to that. Yeah.
And almost that, I don't make sense to me. Why am I want to really lose weight, but clearly I want cake more. It's that immediate gratification thing, or whatever that is. But it really resonated, and I think Wendy's writing a book about it. So I came up with a number of internal characters, and I think two of them in particular are the different types of bitches. So my sort of badass pirate Daenerys Targaryen queen is one of my main ones, and that is the fire, slash and burn thing.
Put it all down to start again.
Yeah, it's like literally burn it to the ground. An example of that is when I worked in an organisation that had lots of profit warnings. We had a new CEO and team come in, and they built this great big huge narrative about how we needed to save money, reduced overheads, cash is king, all this sort of stuff. And then almost didn't go far enough with the transformation. So instead of doing it once, once, do it well, it was going to be painful, but just do it once. It was almost sort of like 3 or 4 years of doing little bits. So that internal let's just break it to fix it. People would have got through that process much better. There wouldn't be that sort of 3-year worry about whether they're going to have a job at the end of it. So it's almost so it's that. So I found her very useful because she stops me staying in situations where I shouldn't be in.
Gets you out of things.
She does. So I'm really, really grateful to her, but there's also a very mothery one that kind of keeps her in balance as well. And then the other one is my inner Scarlett O'Hara. So unsurprisingly, having watched Gone with the Wind was one of my mum's kind of favorite annual treats, pretty much. Just for like 17 hours and watch that, because it's a long ass film, isn't it? So she was always one of my massive heroines, and the reason I love her so much is because she's not all good and she's not all bad. She's a very human character, and she will go after what she wants. And
so is she more of your diva type bitch?
But she's not. I would say she's quite, instead of head on, she'll basically put her tendrils out and almost without anybody noticing, she gets what she wants. And she's very quite hasten to use the word, but seductive in her approach. So you'd look at her and think she's just a girl, she's but there's always method to her madness. And but she's also very impetus. She doesn't have any patience as well. So it's really interesting that kind of, as long as she's working towards something, that one's kept happy. But again, she needs to be tempered.
Who tempers her?
I think it's the mother
again.
The internal mother, who's pretty much the CEO of my internal leadership family.
So now you know about these. Do you find that you can draw upon them? So, like, do you wake up and go, right, this is happening, I need to be more Daenerys today?
Yeah, it's interesting. So before, you'd have these thoughts and you were like, where's that come from? But now I can almost sort of pin it down to, it's this one, it wants that, and I can then choose. So it's almost having, so Dom teaches a lot about, in the old days, talked about ACT. So it's that kind of pausing before reacting.
Dom is another psychologist who was on the retreat.
So it's like, you don't have to let your emotions rule you. You don't have to have these little internal thoughts. You are not what you think. So you can be very curious about my thoughts now, and I'm able to, not all the time, but quite a lot of the time, choose how I react to certain situations now. It's given me more power over myself.
So even if the bitch is awake and at work, you have that control, and you can decide whether to use that energy or not.
But it's really powerful energy as well when I want to. It's that kind of, I'm going to walk away from the situation, close the door, and I'm not going to worry about it.
And I've actually seen you do that in the 2 or 3 years since I've known you. I've seen Michelle in action.
But there's almost this, like, again, there's no need to be a dick about it. So you can be, you can have this internal steely, but treat people kindly. And sometimes you have to be, it's like Brené Brown says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to have difficult conversations with people.
Yeah, for clarity. Yeah. And again, the whole, bitch network thing, it isn't about being mean or nasty. It's about using that energy, as you say, for clarity. People know where they are, you know where they are. You can put an end to situations you don't want. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is a very powerful energy. So as a psychologist, do you have any tips for people listening to this that would like to draw upon that, or just thinking about confidence and assertiveness in general? Anything that you'd like to share, any practices?
Yes. So I am incredibly busy all the time. I think busy is the new smoking, to be fair, as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that kind of, how are you doing? Oh, very busy. We have to be busy. I have to be busier than everybody else. It's just a bit bonkers, actually. And so it's really important, I think, first of all, we're not broken. That we've got this massive expectations to be the perfect. I see this sort of work like you don't have kids and have kids like you don't work. This, those types of quotes, and be beautiful, well made up, have your hair done. It's kind of expectations that society have on us, and other women also place on us.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to a lady yesterday who's was talking about her granddaughter, who says she can't wait to be 25 so she can have like Botox and lip fillers and a butt lift and all this crap. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, if this is the way the world is going,
then
stop the bus and getting off. It's just bonkers, and how so many youngsters have these unrealistic airbrushed figures, and if they don't conform, they're not skinny, they're not tall, they're not beautiful, they've got a big bum and big boobs, which that'll go out of fashion. I grew up in the age of Kate Moss, who was incredibly petite. I was always well endowed in the boobs and bum department. And so you need to accept you and stop feeling you're less than. And it's easy. I know it's easier said than done, because we are constantly bombarded with, advertisement. Basically, advertisement is just there to make you feel bad about yourself and get you to buy stuff to make you feel better, which never does. So read, learn, get mentors, surround yourself with positive role models. Don't watch soaps. You are what you do. So if you spend all your time watching soap after soap after soap, instead of spending the average 4 hours a day watching the television, half that, watch some television and read a book. And it doesn't always have to be like a business book or a self-help book, but just, my favorite books are the what they're called, Hunger Games. Absolutely love them. And it's just just escapism. And Katniss is a very interesting, powerful female as well. So
and it's thrust upon her, isn't it? She takes her little sister is meant to do the Hunger Games, and she takes her place almost without thinking. Again, it's that bitch, isn't it? Coming to protect somebody. She stands up and says, "Take me instead." And
she defies power all the time, and I really enjoy it, because there is that inner mischievous pirate as well. Thinking, should I do the rebellious route or do I behave? And we need as females to stop behaving.
That's the big thing, isn't it? And I don't know so much about the younger generation, but my generation, it was certainly, you were brought up to be seen and not heard as kids. To be very, obviously respectful of your elders is not a bad thing at all, but it was very much, you didn't really have a voice. at that time. Yeah.
No, it's that kind of figure out who you are and what you want. And I think if you have more than 3 priorities, you have no priorities.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And so
Yeah.
I've chosen my 3 priorities, and it's almost, somebody asks me to do something else, does it contribute to, growing my business, my relationship, or my, being a mum?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then it probably, you need to say no.
Yeah.
Delegate it.
Yeah, which brings me, I mean, you did mention about being busy, and I have to say, yeah, out of, the business people I know, you are up there on seemingly, from what it looks like on the outside, of being one of, the busiest. So you have your Insights Business Psychology, which is their occupational psychology practice. You've got the your own Michelle Minnikin coaching with your Be More Awesome program. You're a board member of the Association of Business Psychologists. You have the podcast, Inspiration North podcast, which goes out every week.
Some weeks we do 2.
Run events. And you were talking just now about possibly becoming a trustee of a charity. So, my God, I mean, and also, say you're in a relationship and you're a mum. I mean, how do you juggle all that? How do you do it?
I think it's really easy to become overwhelmed. So, as I said about the priorities, so all of that fits into one of my 3 priorities.
Yeah.
But I'm a very much a case of don't look too far into the future. What do you need to do now? What are your goals? What are your goals for 3 years time? What are your goals for 1 year time? What are your goals for this quarter? And what activities need to happen to sort of reverse engineer that. We're just trying out a new, so in the businesses there are 3 of us, and so across the 2/3 businesses, so there's James and myself, and then Sophie, my niece, and our apprentice. And we are very guilty of focusing on the really fun stuff, which is not necessarily at the moment revenue generating.
Yeah.
And so we're using monday.com to manage our little projects and our goals, and we break it down as much as possible, put deadlines in, and then almost sort of compete against each other to get stuff done.
That's quite a nice idea. I like the competition thing. Wouldn't work for me because I'm on my own, but I do like it. Yeah.
And I almost have to compete with myself as well. So I write a lot of psychometric reports, so I spend a lot of time writing. So when it comes to blogs, which I've not been brilliant at recently, I really sort of procrastinate around them. So I literally have to give myself an hour. You've got an hour to write, and you have to finish it in an hour. And it's that deadline. So we are putting some controls, I suppose, in place to say, we can get a podcast out every week. That's done. We've got 44 down. We've got another, we've got loads of really interesting podcasts in the pipeline. So what can we kind of anchor that every Wednesday I have to put a video out?
Yeah.
So, or what that looks like. So we're just trying to come up to what that looks like, because obviously if I'm putting videos out or putting content out, then people are seeing it and are being brought back, and etc. So it's I don't think we've got it right yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a surprise question, but it just occurred to me. So obviously you've done 44 podcasts and interview. I mean, I think, as I remember, the premise behind the podcast is about people that have found their true north and their inspiration and are living the life that they imagined. What have you learned from running the podcast and listening to people? Anything that the Bitch Network listeners might find interesting?
Well, we always say that we always learn something from every podcast. And I think the most the most memorable one is a lady called Fee Monroe, who basically says that she had 30 years of being asleep, and then she got a stage 4 ovarian cancer diagnosis, and then that woke her up.
Yeah.
So she completely changed her life, and her message is to get not just the cancer sufferers, but everybody to live like they're dying.
Yeah.
And make every day last, and more, and happiness. Money does not equal happiness. We were brought up with you need to be living in a big house, driving a posh car, and that's not necessarily going to bring you happiness.
No, for some people that's completely empty. For some people that's really stressful, just trying to get that. Yeah.
So it's all about kind of figure out what makes you happy and doing all that stuff, and use your strengths. So they're the kind of, there's so many to the point where we're hopefully going to be working soon with a local university to help us pull out some of the themes that we have heard, to hopefully sort of reverse engineer that process so we can help people get on to it quicker. But it's all about happiness. We also, the extra things that we do. So we also volunteer as course leaders for the Action for Happiness 8-week Exploring What Matters course. Yeah. And, that has really helped us too, because, happiness is something that can be taught. And that, constant striving to do and get stuff, to the point where my poor child, I said to him that he's not going to get loads of stuff for Christmas. He's going to get experiences. When he's 20, because he'll be turning 10 on Christmas Day, when he's 20, he'll remember us going to, good places and having fun family time. He's not going to remember, the PlayStation 4 game that I got him.
Unwrapping another game to put it in the pile with the rest of them.
So it's he's not getting stuff, he's getting memories, I suppose, for Christmas. But I'm still getting stuff. I'm like, yes, sweetheart, you'll get your socks and pants, because it's very important for a boy to learn quickly that socks and pants are things that he gets for Christmas. So it's just what, do what makes your heart sing. If you don't have to be the richest person in Newcastle.
Yeah, interesting.
And you're perfect the way you are, and you're dying, so you need to actually get on and do stuff and stop waiting for things to happen. I can't possibly start doing videos until I've lost 2 pounds, or you're never going to be ready. So just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. Just book that domain name. Just do it.
JFDI.
Yeah. Okay, so hello.
Sophie.
Just to wind up, anything else that you wanted to say, tell us about?
Sorry, I've just being totally thrown by my apprentice turning up. Never worked with children and animals, I think. It's probably a useful thing, unless that's your heart's desire, of course. But just figure out what makes you happy and do more of that stuff. And think about how you can help you. Let stuff go.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Michelle.
A lot. You're welcome.
Thanks for that. And keep safe with Scarlett and Daenerys.
It's fine. Galadriel sorting them out.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.